How's it going, everybody? And welcome to the Break Thru U podcast. My name is Josh Rosales, the host, and Ashley Gaylor, the host. And we are crazy excited today to have Nick Ferrantino. Yes, super excited. We're going to be asking some questions. What we do here on the Break Thru U podcast is really have a platform to where we can invite entrepreneurs, business owners, those that are making an impact in the community and growing their business, and inviting them on just to drop nuggets of wisdom on us and just find out how they're doing it. It's not a secret. Like, success is not a secret. It's easy. It's work. Like, if you're willing to put the work in, then you're going to be successful. And if you're willing to network, so I heard it say that you got to work the net. You got to work the net. You got to network. You have to put everything into it. Success leaves clues, looking for those that are successful, paying attention to what they do, being a student of the game, being a student of the system. And it's all a system. 1 + 1 = 2. If you can get the system down and just partner yourself with people that are of a like mind, that are challenging you, that are going to push you to be better than you can be. I heard it said that if you're the smartest person in the group, you need to go find another group. And so that is what it's all about. And so I love it because, like, Ashley and I, and Alex is not able to be here today, but we work so well together, and others that we work with, that we always are challenging each other to be better, and we're working off of each other, and we're going through this journey and working nonprofit together and helping communities and helping people that maybe are having a hard time connecting the dots. And that's the other thing what we do here is help other entrepreneurs connect the dots. And that is so, so important. They have this concept, but they need other people to help connect the dots. And so that's why I'm so excited to have Nick on with us today. And without any further ado, we're going to get into this conversation. Before I do, Ashley, if you would be so kind as to introduce Nick.
Hello, everyone. Nick Ferrantino. What a treat today. This guy is brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to say I had a conversation with him last week. And I've been, my mind has been racing ever since, just the thoughts and his wisdom. Basically, first and foremost, loves God, loves his family, and you can tell that in what he's doing, and that is portrayed in the things he does and he says. So, Nick, thank you so much for being here. We are honored to have you on the show. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. I definitely appreciate you guys having me on, both you and Joshua. Yeah, I guess the most powerful thing that I can do is start with my story, really. I'll share briefly about myself and my journey through entrepreneurship in general, and my journey through and how I got involved in real estate. From there, because I wasn't always in real estate. It didn't start off that way. So I'll share with you a little bit about the journey, and I just hope that it can lift up and encourage someone who might need to hear it, to have more understanding that, that it isn't always sunshine and rainbows. You got to be able to put in the work. You got to be able to put in the hustle. You got to be able to get up and be motivated every single day. Like, nobody's gonna.
I got chills. I got chills up and down my spine.
Yeah, nobody's going to do it for you. It has to come from, inside of you. You have to have that burning fire, right? If you're waiting for it to happen, you're going to continue waiting. You got to take action. There's two things that I've learned there's one powerful thing that I learned in this journey, and I started hearing this when I got involved in real estate. There's knowledge on ice, right? Where we just want to learn everything, right? We want to learn everything. We think we got to know everything, but we never take action. We gain all this knowledge, but we never take action. And then there's action on fire. There's action on fire, where that is the most impactful thing that you can do. You don't have to know everything to just get started, right? You're going to learn the most as you go. For example, before I did my first real estate deal, it took me about 9 months, and I'll cut into how we got started, but it took me about 9 months to do my very first real estate deal ever. Why? Because I was stuck on that knowledge on ice train. I was nervous to move forward until I felt like I knew everything that there was to know. And the thing is, you're not going to know everything. In fact, real estate is constantly changing, you're constantly learning. I'm still learning a lot of things. And then there's different levels to where you can get involved, right? So it wasn't until I literally just took action on fire. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to do it. And I'm just going to make something happen. I don't care what the outcome is. I'm willing to take the risk. And in that first 30 days of doing my very first deal, I learned more actually going through the process than I did in my 9 months of educating myself.
Wow.
Right. So that's a little bit about that. But to get started, back when I got out of the military in 2012, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew that I was tired of working for the man, right? I knew that I wanted to get into something to where I'm not limited by my potential is not limited, right? Where the sky is the limit, where my actions is what causes my reactions, right? I get what I put in, I reap what I sow. It's not a clock in, clock out. It's the more I do, the more I get, right? I wanted to be in control of my income, in control of my destiny, and in control of my family, right? So I stepped into entrepreneurship. I started off with a lawn care business that didn't work out, right? That did not work out. Then I got into the gym business, right? And this is just to show you, like, sometimes you might just try and attempt a couple things, and you may fail a couple times along the way, but it doesn't mean to quit. Fail forward, right? As part of success, failure is part of success. It's getting over those failures and learning how to overcome the objections, how to overcome the hurdles, and not saying, oh, I failed, I quit, I'm done, because then you are done. But it's growing from your failures, learning from your failures. So I got into the gym business for about 4 years. And after that, at the end of the 4 years, we went through some tough times. I just had my first child, my daughter, literally, and our business was shutting down. It was shutting down. I had a business partner who was the money guy, and he ended up deciding that he didn't want to be in the gym business anymore. So I tried to take it on by myself with the young mind that I had and the little knowledge that I had. And I ended up going about $500,000 in bankruptcy at that time, trying to save the gym, right? But I wasn't fazed by it. I started studying I started studying successful people and the habits of successful people along the way. And I quickly realized that a lot of your highly successful people in this world have gone through bankruptcy, right? Everybody has their story, right? And your story is part of history. Do you see what I'm saying? Your story is part of his story. Everybody has their story on their road to success, right? And sometimes we're still traveling through that journey, but just know that, hey, this is part of the story, right? It's not the outcome, right? We're not hurrying up to get to the outcome. We're enjoying the journey, right? We have to enjoy the journey and stop looking at what's it going to be, what we're going to be, and just enjoy yourself in the journey and in the moment of what you're achieving, because that's all part of it, right? The ups and the downs are part of it. So I went bankrupt. I went bankrupt in the gym business, but I was encouraged by all the people ahead of me that have been bankrupt before. Twice maybe. Trump got bankrupt. Everybody knows that, right? But to bounce back from that. And so I quickly decided, I knew I wanted to be in real estate at that time. I knew that I wanted to own a real estate investment company. That's where I wanted to go. I knew that 99% of your, highly successful people in this world are involved in real estate some way, somehow. So, hey, I'm a numbers guy. If 99% is involved in real estate, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I didn't know anything to begin with. I have no people and nobody in real estate in my family, like no entrepreneurs in my family. Like I didn't know anything. So I started off the only way that I knew to start off, as an agent, as a real estate agent. I thought actually I was so new to it that I thought you had to be a real estate agent to even get involved in real estate. That's how rookie I was, right? And I actually ended up never doing anything as a real estate agent. I was telling my and this was back before 2015, when wholesaling was still very kind of not heard of. I was telling my instructor, my real estate instructor for the real estate license program and all that good stuff, what I wanted to do. And she's like, well, you're going to lose your license before you even get it. And I'm like, no, this is happening all the time. But it was just that lack of understanding. Do you see what I'm saying? How I wanted to get into investments, how I wanted to find deeply discounted off-market properties and bring them to investors and serve them that way, right? So I told her about that, and yeah, so I ended up not doing anything at all. I didn't know how to generate leads. I literally just thought you became an agent and then, you know, listings just came your way, like they passed them on. But then you start learning that no, you got to market the same way, even as an agent. You got to market, you got to build your business, right? There's no sign and drive, we're going to pay you and you're going to make all this, but you still got to build your business. So that's how new I was to it. Well, so I never ended up doing anything on the agent side, and we can fast forward just a little bit to where pretty much I got to the point where I was losing everything, right? I went bankrupt. All the reserves that I had went down to probably like $1,000, right? I was on my last $1,000. I packed up my bags and I moved to Tennessee. My wife had a vision, you know, she spent a lot of time praying in the room, and she had a vision that we were going to move to Tennessee. And this is crazy, right? I'm from Florida. Like I was in Florida, and she had a vision that we were going to move to Tennessee. And she came and told me, she's like, God told me we're going to move to Tennessee. And at this time, I was like, this was me in my Tennessee accent. I was like, Tennessee? Like, I couldn't even do it. I was like, what the heck is a Tennessee? You know, from Florida, I'm just, you know, joking around. I was like, babe, I've been landlocked one time before because I was stationed in Kentucky when I was in the military. And I was like, I don't like it. I've always been a beach guy. I've been landlocked before and I do not like it. And she's like, God told us we're going to move to Tennessee. And I just kind of, yeah, okay, whatever, right? At this point in time, and see, God will do what he needs to do. God will do what he needs to do to get you where he needs you to be, right? Amen. Because if everything is all good, if everything's all sunshine and rainbows, why would you change?
Yeah.
Why would you switch what you're doing? Why would you adjust? Why would you try to improve? So I'm looking for jobs at this point everywhere, just trying to make ends meet. I was driving for Uber. I was driving for Uber in the middle of the night. Like I literally had a brand new baby girl, right? I'm driving for Uber in the middle of the night just to make ends meet, like from like, I would say probably 6 p.m. to about 2 a.m. in the morning. That's when the most of the stuff goes on, because I was in the Tampa area. So that's when the prices are high. So boom. And then I would come back, I would sleep for a little bit. And then I was coaching, I was doing CrossFit coaching because my gym went under. So I started coaching for another gym, right? So I was doing Uber and I was coaching in the mornings and afternoons for another gym just to make ends meet. So at this time, I'm looking for positions. I was kind of like over being an entrepreneur for a minute. Like, this is ridiculous. This is too hard. Like all that good stuff. I was over it. And, I applied for jobs everywhere, and I could not get a job. And I couldn't get a job anywhere. I was applying for jobs everywhere. And this one job hit me up. At this time, they were called, it was a Christian-based business, which is crazy. It was like a Christian-based business, and they were called Iron Tribe Fitness, right? And they were like a CrossFit type facility, functional fitness. And they wanted to bring me on as the gym manager, right? And I was like, oh, this is great. I can do this with my eyes closed, but I don't have to worry about the expenses or anything like that because I've been running gyms for like 4 years. So I just thought it was great. I was like, okay. And the job happened to be in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's the only place that called me back up, interviewed me, gave me a job, was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, after my wife had this vision. I'm like, what is this? What is this? So I'm getting ready to start this job, right? I had like 3 months before they were going to bring me in, right? And I literally, like Steve Harvey would say, faith, a leap of faith, right? I literally packed up my bags with nothing. I had nothing. I literally packed up my bags in a U-Haul with my family, and we dipped out to Tennessee. We didn't have any place to stay, anything to do, right? And we just did it. We just did it. We moved to Tennessee. We felt like that's where God was calling us. We got confirmation over confirmation. It's like, look, we just got to do this. We got to go with the confirmations. And I'm fortunate enough to have an uncle that owns a construction company out here. So he was just helping me out, and he gave me a position for the construction company for like the first 3 months while I was waiting to start this job. And honestly, he was like making up a position for me to do, like he was literally just trying to be a nice guy and help me out. So I did that, but I was coming to the end of the ropes on the 3 months. So when I got here though, we had no place to live. We literally drove around for a weekend. Right, we drove around for a weekend, and we saw a for rent sign in front of a house. It was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath duplex when we first moved here. This is some humble times, guys. All right, 1-bedroom, 1-bath duplex. Called the sign on a Saturday. Right, banks weren't open till Monday. The lady said, "Look, it's cool. You can move in tomorrow," without even having to pay her. I was like, look, we can't pay you till Monday because, the banks and stuff like that. And, our bank was in Florida. And she's like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of that later. Just go right ahead and move in. So we had a place to stay the same week. Like literally we got here, we drove around, we called a sign, and she said, go right ahead and move in. We didn't have any place to stay when we came here, and we called a sign. They let us move in. Amazing. Right. So we moved in before even paying rent. And then I started working on Monday for my uncle, doing construction. Not my thing, guys, not my thing, but I did it. And it was hot. It was very hot and sweaty, but, doing construction. And then, I go to my job interview, not my job interview, but I go to my place where I'm supposed to be managing the gym, prior to getting started. And then I get some news. And this is where God will do what it takes to get you somewhere. I get some news, and they said, we're actually getting ready to close this gym now down. Like, I came here for the position to get started. Like, that's what got my butt out here. Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll run this gym with my eyes closed. And they told me, I'm sorry, but we're getting ready to actually close this gym down. We've had some things happen, and now we're going to have to close it down. And I'm like, okay, I came here for this job. What do I do? Right. But they're like, but we can put you somewhere else. Right. And they wanted to put me in Memphis, Tennessee. They're like, we have an open position in Memphis, Tennessee. We can do that. I literally just moved, just signed a lease, just did all that stuff. And then again, God was telling me in my heart, like, no, not Memphis. Like, that's not where I called you to. I called you here. So it's like, you kind of tricked me to get here. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of tricked me to get here, but you knew that's what it would take, right? So here I am trying to take any job I can get at this point, because I knew my uncle couldn't afford to pay me anymore, right? Like, I just knew it wasn't like that. So here we go, even more humble. I'm talking about the lowest of lows, guys. Here we go. I started working at Walmart. And man, I did not fit in. Like, I just did it. My personality didn't fit in. Like, it was very uncomfortable, but I did what it takes. I started working at Walmart, and that was so humbling to go from the military, to go from owning, right? And this is where you got to put your ego down. Like, you have to fire your ego. You have to bury that ego, because that's what's going to destroy you. And I think what hurt the most was probably my ego, is what hurt the most, right? And that's where you need to be humble, right? That's where I needed to be humbled, because you go from military to you're high and mighty young dude owning a gym, feeling all great, to now look at you, man, you work at Walmart. You work at Walmart and you're clocking in and clocking out, and it just didn't fit, right? And there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart, guys. You do what you got to do to get there, but in my heart, I felt like I was called to be an entrepreneur. I felt like I was called to more. I felt like I was called to be a business owner, right? So it really ate at me. It really did. And I found myself one day praying in the back of a truck, a Walmart truck, praying again, right? And I said, God, is this it for me? Like, I was probably at the lowest lows in my life. Like, I said, God, is this it for me? Like, is this what you want me to do? Is this where I'm supposed to be, working right here, at least right now in this season? Or am I supposed to take a leap and just go for entrepreneurship? Am I supposed to just take a leap and leave this place and start working on my own business? Because the security is what had me, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that I had a paycheck coming in is what kind of had me a bit. And just to leave that paycheck for the unknown was very scary, right? Especially when I had a child and a daughter. And guys, I didn't even make that much, like, at all. So I prayed in the back of the truck, and then I started to get this weird message on my phone, right? Like, weird message on my phone. And it was like a system error or something like that, because it just kept coming up randomly on my phone, like a notification. And it was like the Bible app was broken on my phone, because it kept saying, like, all things happen for the good. All things happen. The same message over and over again. I'm like, what is this? The next day I come into work, I get fired. I got fired from Walmart. I got fired because they caught me on my phone. That's why I got fired for being on my phone. Which that doesn't matter. And I felt so much peace, though. Because I just prayed the day before, and I felt so much. I wasn't even mad, like, or upset or anything. I was like, wow, this is my answer, right? Literally, I felt so much peace. And I didn't even have a car at that time. So my boss, who fired me, had to drive me home. had to drive me home. How humbling, right? So I go to my wife and I'm like, babe, she's like, oh, you're home early. I was like, yeah, I just got fired. Oh, man. So now this is where it gets into how I got involved in real estate. I'm homeless. Well, I'm not homeless yet. I'm jobless. And literally I had like my last 500 probably bucks in the bank account, if that. And I remember I couldn't afford to pay rent at this point in time. It's been about a month, and I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing. My wife is trying to pick up any gigs. We're selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace just to make ends meet. She had a camera, so she was picking up photography gigs with people, just trying to, market to take photos for people, anything that she could do. And man, as a husband and as a provider, I felt like the lowest of lows in my life. Like, I felt pain. I felt depression. I felt some type of way about myself, because here I am, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and my wife and my kids are not living the life that I thought that they deserved, right? At all. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm jobless. I'm behind on my bills. I can't afford to pay rent. I couldn't afford to pay rent at the time. And honestly, I could barely afford to buy food, right? We had people that were bringing us rice, beans, eggs, milk, just to be nice, just to get by. And I praise God for all those people. But I'm jobless, and I'm going through this time, and I felt like my wife didn't deserve to live that. Like, I love my wife to death, but I got to the point where I was like, look, you probably shouldn't even be with me. Like, I started getting down on myself, like, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve this. You deserve somebody who can take care of you a lot better. Like, I just had to get myself out of the equation, right? Like, you don't deserve this. You deserve somebody who can take care of you so much better, all this stuff. And I started getting really down on myself. So one day I'm in my car. We had a car that we shared. It was a Jeep Patriot that we shared. And I'm in there, And nobody really knew this at the time, but I was in there crying out to the Lord by myself, like having this personal conversation with the Lord. It was the I quit conversation. I'm done. I'm over this. Enough is enough, right? And I told the Lord that I didn't, and my wife used to tell me, you just need to surrender. You need to surrender. And I always say, I am surrendering, but I would surrender with my lips, but not with my heart, right? Because then I'd go on and try to take the ropes again, right? So this time I got in the car and I was like, I told God that I didn't want my life anymore. I said, I don't want my life anymore. It's too hard. It's too hard trying to be in control. You can have it. Right. And I meant for another way. I really did. I meant for him to kind of just, take me out. Like I wasn't going to do it myself because I'm not going to take my chances. Right. But I asked for him to do it. I asked for him to take me, just take me. Right. So that my family can move on. And I think when I actually did that, something actually happened that day. It was full surrender or something. 1 month later is when I did my first deal. Probably like three to 4 weeks later is when I did my first deal. From that moment of crying out to God. And there's so many verses that will back that, by the way. Like just putting my head, I literally humbled myself. I am nothing but dirt on the ground, like lowering myself as low as I can be. Right. And I'm walking my daughter in a buggy. It's a stroller. I call it a buggy. Right. I'm walking my daughter in her buggy down the road from us. And I see a for sale sign on a tree. And I took all this real estate education and never did anything with it. Back to the knowledge on ice. Never did anything with it. Was always scared to take action because of what I didn't know. Right. But when you're in your lowest lows and you got nothing to lose and everything to gain, what else do you got to lose? Right. So I called this for sale sign on a tree. This was my very first deal ever in 2015, 16. Called a for sale sign on a tree. And the guy ended up being a motivated seller. It was someone who inherited this property from his father. He was a young kid, and there was like 2 condemned properties on the lot, and the city was threatening to come mow them down and put the lien on him. Right. So I ended up talking with this guy about his situation, and I didn't even know how to run numbers on anything. Like I didn't know how to run numbers. So after evaluating it, I completely came up with a number that I thought was the number that I had to offer based off of public records that I could find, right? But it wasn't even based off of ARV. It was just based off of like tax records, right? And I ended up offering this guy $1,000 for his property, right? $1,000, which was like crazy ridiculous. Like how could you even do that? How could you even offer $1,000? And this is another thing. Don't be scared to make the offer. Don't be scared to make the offer, right? Don't be scared to make the offer, and don't be scared. The worst thing somebody can ever tell you is no. And that's okay, right? Right. So I made the offer and I said $1,000, and they weren't for that. They weren't for that at all. Right. But I set the expectation really low. Right. And I was very sincere about it because I thought that's all I could really offer was $1,000 on this property. Granted, I didn't even have $1 in my bank account at this time. Right. Like literally, like I'm like starving. I remember of going to the store and knowing what it felt like to be hungry. Like you can't buy any of this. Right. I remember like literally I would eat 1 protein bar a day, so that my family could eat. So my family could eat before I ate. So it was just a critical moment. So I offered him $1,000, and then it didn't end up happening. So like 1 week later, I just kept racking my brain, and I was like, I got to take a chance. I got to do something. And I learned about options, right? Having an option instead of a contract. Cause like, I didn't want to not get into something and not be able to fulfill. So I said, hey, look, here's a scenario. What if you can give me the option to purchase it at 6,000, right? And I can try to see if I can line up the funding for it, right? Like just an option to purchase it. It wasn't a contract, it was an option to purchase for 6,000, just to see if I can line up the funding for it. And he's like, hey man, you know what? I think that's a great idea. Let's do that. Why did they want the money? They wanted the money so that they could start their business, by the way. They wanted to start a business, right? So that really appealed to them. So know their why too. Know their why. So after coming from 1,000 to 6,000, that was like the holy grail to them. Like, okay, let's do this, right? Let's do this. And I ended up getting the option. And at this point in time, I learned that, you know, you didn't have to have the money to do a deal. And a lot of people in real estate think that you've got to have money to get involved in real estate, right? But it's actually the other way around. You got to have a deal. If you have a deal, the money will come. If you have a true deal, the money will come. And I learned that a long time ago. If you have a deal, the money will come, right? There's so many people I bump into. They're like, yeah, I want to get into flipping. I want to get into this, but I just don't have enough money yet. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You don't need money. You need a deal. So find a deal, right? And I learned that if you had a deal, the money will come. So I took this deal that I had an option for $6,000 and I had no buyers, no investors. I was literally no structure, no nothing. And I posted it on Craigslist at this time, Craigslist. And I said, hey, I have this deal under contract. I have this deal under contract and I'm looking to assign it to an end buyer who would want this for $15,000. That's what I did, right? And my phone started ringing off the hooks, like boom, 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 boom. And I had walkthroughs lined up the whole next day. Like, and this is when I was doing it privately. Like, so one investor, I literally had a lawn chair in the front yard. This is how rookie I was. I had a lawn chair in the front yard with a lunchbox. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't be in the house because there was so many like ticks and fleas and stuff like that, right? It was nasty. But I had a lawn chair and a lunchbox, and one investor would come, and then the next investor would come, and then the next investor would come, and I'm literally camping out in front of this house all day. Literally camping out in front of this house all day, and I started getting offers on it. And it ended up. We ended up getting an offer for 17.5. I was asking 15 and we got an offer for 17.5 on it. So I'm like, great. I had a buyer. I didn't know what to do though. Like I literally didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to work with title companies. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. So I ended up, you know, learning YouTube as I go, all that good stuff. That's what I'm saying. I learned so much in this process. I ended up getting a buyer and we locked it up with the buyer. So we had I exercised my option to purchase, turned that into a contract. Right. And then I got an assignment agreement over to a buyer. This is back when I did assignment agreements. Right. We do a little differently now. But I had a assignment agreement over to the buyer. Right. And then I had to find a title company that would close it. Right. And there was not a lot of title companies in the area doing assignments at this time at all. So it got kicked out of 3 title companies. Guys, there's another hurdle, right? When you're trying to do something great, when you're trying to achieve greatness, look, hurdles are going to be thrown at you. When you're coming into something new, when you're coming into something that's going to level you up, be prepared for the hurdles because it's testing you. It's testing your will, it's testing your strength because it could have got thrown out of that first title company. I could have been like, this isn't happening. I'm done. Right? I could have quit right there. Like, see, they threw it out the title company. That's where most people want to stop with the no, with the hurdle, with the rejection. It's a test of your will and strength, guys, right? Keep going, keep being persistent. It got thrown out of a second title company, right? They were all sketched out because of this crazy stepsister too. It was like this crazy stepsister. Everybody called her the crazy step. We can't insure this stepsister. She's wild, blah, blah, blah. Cause she was like throwing fits and stuff like that. Then finally, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Every title company is throwing this out. Like literally we were getting to the end of our ropes, right? Calling everybody. I felt like I was a doctor or an attorney. I was working that hard. Like I would compare it to that. Like at a doctor attorney, I'm like, blah, 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 just trying to figure this out. Like we had no money. I was starving. Like we went through Thanksgiving. This was at the end of the year. We went through Thanksgiving, nothing, no food, like worst Thanksgiving ever. Right. Very humbling. And then finally I found an attorney that would close it. This attorney changed my life. I did my first couple closings with him after that. and people pay more using attorneys, but he was doing it. He helped out like tremendously. He helped me get my business going. So I found an attorney that would do it. And finally, we were able to schedule this closing. The buyer came with their 17.5. The seller got their $6,000. And I was amazed when I made 11,500 on my first deal. Like right there in between. Seller got what he wanted, the buyer got what they wanted, and I got a fee in between for creating that service. And I was so excited. This was right before Christmas, guys. Best Christmas ever. Worst Thanksgiving ever, best Christmas ever, right? Right. Literally, I was able to catch up on my bills. I was able to buy food, groceries. I was able to pay rent. I was able to buy Christmas presents, guys, Christmas presents. I was able to do all of that, but I knew that the money wouldn't last forever. But I also knew, wow, this is possible. This can happen, right? I literally just did it. And now I knew I could do it over and over again. So guys, it took me 9 months to get my first deal ever, right? It got thrown out of 3 different title companies. I could have been like, nah, I'm done so many times, right? I could have quit so many times. But then after doing that first deal, I did 69 more deals that same year, back to back. In 12 months, 69 after doing that first deal. So I've always called it law of the first deal, break the chain, right? The first one's going to be the hardest, but after you develop that new comfort zone, right, it'll start to flow through easy. It's like breaking the dam and the water starts flowing, right? 69 that first deal. And I had an approach. I took the Kentucky Fried Chicken approach. This was before KPIs, right? And I took the Kentucky Fried Chicken approach. And if y'all don't know what the Kentucky Fried Chicken approach, here it is. You ready? If you ask 100 people, somebody will say yes, right? That's all you need is one yes. One yes. Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders or whatever, got no 99 times, got told his crispy chicken recipe sucks. 99 times before somebody finally said, yes, I'll endorse you. He could have quit 99 times before and said, oh man, everybody. And how many people have been there where somebody doesn't believe in their product or their service and they're like, nah, man, this sucks, right? He could have quit 99 times like, hey, look, everybody, nobody believes in my product. It's not good. The market doesn't want it, right? But he just kept going. So I knew that if I made 100 offers in a month, somebody was going to say yes, and that's all I needed to know, right? And if I can do $10,000 in a month, right, that's life-changing. That's life-changing because at that point in time, I've never made checks that big, ever. Like not even in the gym business, like not at all, right? So I literally found that approach, and I didn't have any money from marketing or anything like that. So I literally went through all the free sites. I looked for sale by owners and fished through Craigslist and Zillow for sale by owners. And I lined up every weekend. I lined up 25 people to talk to that week, 25 that were wanting to sell their house, right? 25 people that I can call, find out information about their property, pre-qualify, run some numbers, get back to them with an offer. And I expected the no's, right? I expected the no's, but I know I got to go through the no's to get the yes, right? So every week I made 20 to 25 offers a week. I talked to multiple people. I got laughed at, right? I was actually so nervous to be on the phones, like really nervous to be on the phones when I first started, that I was awkward. Sometimes they'd go to voicemail and like, I would crack up laughing on the voicemail on accident because like, I was going to leave them a voicemail, but I didn't really know what to say because I was so rookie that I was just like, I'd just crack up laughing and hang up because I just messed up that bad. Like I messed up that bad. Oh yeah, I want to buy your house, knowing that I didn't really have money to buy houses. Yeah, I want to buy your, and I would just like click. Yeah, that guy's not calling me back. That's how it went. But I made 20 to 25 offers a week. No. But then I would start getting some yeses, right? And it went like this, like the first month I got a yes, right? And then the next month I got another yes. And then I started having people from follow-ups, right? So then I would do 2 deals in a month, then 3 deals in a month, then 1 deal in a month, and then 4 deals in a month. And it was like fluctuating everywhere like that. And I just stick with that approach. Make 100 offers. Somebody's going to say yes. All I need is one yes. And I got 69 yeses that year, right? 69 deals. I made over, and this is the most I've ever done in my life at that point in time. I made over 200K my first year. It was like over 200K my first year. And it was just ecstatic. Like, I've never done that before. And my accountants were like, what the heck are you doing? At the same time, show me your ways. And that was life-changing right there. So that's just a brief story of like, hey, look, don't quit, get through the hurdles. Times are going to be hard, right? But that's a time to grow, right? When you're dealing in hard times, that is the time of growth. There's no growing without growing pains, right? There's no getting swole in the gym without working out, without tearing the muscle first. So when you're going through these tough and challenging times, that's not the time to quit. That's the time to grow.
You're absolutely right, because, I heard it said that there is no testimony without a test, right? There's no testimony without a test, and you got to have the test to have the testimony.
Absolutely. If you want something, there will be a test, just like anything else. There will be a challenge. And it's kind of like, how bad do you want it? And I look at it as training too. And I started to look at it differently. And I used to thank God for my struggles, right? And I think that sometimes we're in the struggle and we're like, oh, why is this happening to me? You know what I mean? Why me? And I started to realize that God was saying, because I'm investing in you, because I'm making you stronger, because I'm making you better. Because once you get over this hurdle and it happens again, you're going to know how to tackle it so much better. And that's the truth. I would run into hurdles with buyers and sellers and stuff like that. And the next time it happened, oh, been through this before. It wasn't a big deal the next time because I knew how to handle it.
It's such an incredible story. I've heard it, talked to you last week, and I heard this. I knew other people needed to hear this. It's so inspiring, for one. It's just like we talked about, where you've got the guy digging, and then right when he quits, an inch on the other side is all the gold, right? So yep. It's just one of those things. I mean, if you would have quit at that first 3 no's, the gold was right there, but you would have never known it, right?
That's right. Somebody else would have got that deal.
That's it. Yeah, incredible story. How did you, after you did your first year of the 69 deals, you knew you had a good business model here. So you took that and you grew it into what it is now. So when you were at that point after the 69 deal, what was the progression up the hill there to lead to where you guys are at now?
I mean, I think in business, what I've learned is that there's always highs and lows, right? It's learning how to navigate through the lows as well and being prepared, because we're in real estate. So there's market shifts and cycles. I mean, look, we're going through something right now in the market, when COVID happened, oh my gosh, right? So it's being able to get through those seasons and through those times, but also being able to understand like that in business, there's seasons. There's sometimes where it's spring and it's summer and everything is going through, but then there's sometimes you're in a winter. And so you got to be like a squirrel and be stocked up for the winter to get through that winter, but it doesn't mean you quit there either, right? It just means that you're going through a season, just like, like a wave. You ride the wave come crashing, but it's going to come back another one, right? So I mean, a lot has been learned through that, a lot of like systems, processes, structures, and just kind of always tweaking and always improving, always staying up with what's current. Yeah, man. I mean, specifically, I would say just advancing and being able to do more. We started off doing smaller deals, then we started getting comfortable doing larger deals, then we do portfolios. Now we're kind of like moving into like apartment buildings. So you're always going to be advancing. And I think the thing is, like, you get to a point where you get comfortable doing something, right? But once you're comfortable, there's no growth through comfort, right? So you can make it to this new level and be really comfortable at making, 400 grand a year or whatever, right? But you're not going to advance until you put yourself in an uncomfortable position, right? So I look at ways to always make myself feel uncomfortable, right? All right, I'm getting really comfortable. This is getting really easy. What can I do to put myself in an uncomfortable position? You know, how can I step outside of my comfort zone so that I can experience some growth? And recently, that's why I've moved into multifamily and raising private capital, because it's new to me, right?
Yeah, yeah, gotcha. The analogy with the growth is just like, say, the gym. If you're always putting up 50-pound dumbbells for 7 months and you don't go up a notch because you're uncomfortable doing so, well, guess what? You're not going to grow. So
Yeah, grab some 60s.
yeah, grab some 60s. Let it hurt a little bit. You know, if you can get
Right.
you can get 10 reps comfortably, then you're not pushing yourself. So
Yep.
Hey, Nick, let me ask you this. We're talking to a lot of entrepreneurs or just individuals in general. I think it's very important. A few things come to my mind is number one, mentoring, having that mentor in your life. I think mentorship I think just in the United States or as a whole, like
Yeah.
young men, there's a lack of mentors. There's a lack of either people asking someone, hey, will you mentor me? Or how do I get a mentor? How do I look for a mentor? And
100%.
then when you have a mentor, how do you handle that relationship to make that relationship make you better? And I know it's a give and take.
Mhm.
How important has mentorship been to you from the beginning to where you are right now? And then even in the future, because I think everybody, no matter until the day you die, like you always got to have that mentor. And that's why father figures are so important
Yeah.
in the family unit, is because, as much as we try, like the society can never replace a father figure, because that is a mentor. Now, the mother is a mentor as well, but looking for that mentor and looking for that person that you allow to speak into your life to help hold you, not necessarily accountable, but just be able to speak into your life and to see from the outside in. People say that you can't see the picture because of the frame. The way that I see things is not always how people see things from the outside in. And to be able to gain that perspective from a mentor is very, very valuable. So how important has mentorship been on your journey?
Honestly, mentorship has been huge. And I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because that is something that has helped me get to the next levels. Sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, right? Indirectly and directly. Sometimes I paid for it and I didn't get results, but I still learned something from that, right? So when I first got into it, I paid a mentor to teach me probates, right? Didn't do anything with it, but a seed was planted though. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what led to me doing my first deal 9 months later. Like I didn't do anything at that point in time, but I kind of learned a little bit about the game, probates and stuff like that. So maybe I didn't do anything with him. Maybe the results weren't immediate, but sometimes a seed gets planted, it gets watered, and it takes time to sprout, right? Right? Like the farmers. You plant the seeds, you go out there and water it, and there's a different time for harvest, right? So my harvest was 9 months later, right? But I invested in mentorship to begin with. I definitely did. I knew that, hey, if I'm going to get into this, I'm going to need some help, right? From somebody who's doing this from experience. And then I still like, just now that now that I just stepped into the multifamily realm and raising private capital, I've hired mentors to be on my team. They're like my board of advisors. They got my back on everything. I have meetings with them, a few times a week right now. And I have them to help me and mentor me in my businesses. You know why? Because they're a step above me, right? They're a step above me. And my mentors have mentors. So I pay my mentors and they have mentors that are above them. So I might be paying my mentors like $25,000 a year, right? And they're paying their mentors like $100,000 a year, right? But it's worth it. Don't look at what you're paying, look at what you're getting in return, right? It's called ROI. Like we're in the real estate investment world over here. So we look to get a return on our on what we pay, right? So if I'm paying $2,000 a month or whatever for my mentor, well, I'm definitely going to get my ROI out of it. And so I think it's always good to have skin in the game too. Like I know like sometimes like, it's hard at the beginning to want to pay for mentorship. But I've learned the value of it, because if you do, you want to get that back. You know what I mean? Because there's been people who maybe they just like give me, but yet they don't take action at all. So like for somebody like me, like you're giving them, because out of love, you're giving them your time, taking time away from your business and stuff to help somebody else. But what they don't like, it's a numbers game. Like everything else is a number game. What if they're not taking it seriously? Right? What if they're not taking it seriously? They don't do anything with it. And I've seen that before. So I think when you're going to seek a mentor, maybe it doesn't always have to be monetary, right? I'm at the point where it's like, hey, yeah, I pay for my friends, right? But
Yeah.
There's good people on my team. Like I would much rather do that all day than you're going to have the friends that lift you up and you're going to have the friends that bring you down, right? There's just pick and choose who you hang out with and your surroundings and who you're surrounding yourself with. But if you couldn't afford to pay a mentor, then it's how can I help you first? How can I add value to you? Maybe intern with them, right? Intern with them. Say, hey, look, man, you don't have to pay me. Like, I don't want any pay or anything like that. I just want to serve you and I want to learn the game, right? So maybe do an internship, right? Provide value to that mentor for it to be like a good relationship, because that's what it's all about. It's about helping each other. And in the real estate community and in a lot of communities that I see, it's always like, how can we help each other? How can we partner on things? How can like I help you, you help me? Like that's what it's all about.
So you brought something up that was, and that's what leads into my next question here is, so your surrounding is very important. Those that are surrounding you, and I know a lot of times people are wondering, I keep hitting this glass ceiling. I keep hitting, like I can't progress further. And it's like, okay, well, the saying has been said, I can tell you what your future looks like by looking at your friends that you hang around. And it's like I said in the beginning, like it's very important that you hang out with people that challenge you. And even for myself, like my inner circle is very, very, very small. And then you have other friends on outer circles, and it's fine to have that. But when it comes down to business and really getting to that next level, from where lessons that you've learned from the beginning until now, how important has it been, besides your mentors, just to have those around you that are sharpening like Bible says, iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
And so have that like when you leave for the day, like you need to know, hey, we sharpened iron today. Like my axe is sharp, my skill sets are sharp. Like, what does that look like for you?
That's accountability. That is
100%
100% accountability. Iron sharpens iron is accountability. And like, look, it ain't always positive. It ain't always, what you want to hear, but it's truth. And it's because I generally want to see you succeed. And so sometimes we got to have these hard talks, right? Just like when I get off this call, I got another call to get on, like a multifamily, an accountability call. Like I got people calling me scheduled every week. Hey, what'd you do this week? Hey, what are you working on? What are your goals? I have a few accountability calls from multiple different people, right? In the multifamily and private capital raising industry. So I know that when I'm going to get on that call, I can't get on there and look like a dodo and say I didn't do anything this week, because that's only making myself look bad, right? So I have the weight of, dang, we're going to get on a call. We're going to talk about this, right? That pushes me and that motivates me, because if you don't have any accountability, then you can just sit on your hands too, right? You don't have a timeline, you don't have a deadline. So accountability is good. And accountability is, like when you got somebody on your team slipping or something like that, sometimes you got to say, hey, look, we got to pick it up. We got to do this. Like, what's going on? And it's not because I'm dogging on you, and it's not because I'm hating on you. It's because I love you, right? And I want to see you succeed, right? Sometimes the whole sunshine and rainbows approach doesn't work. Sometimes you need a can of tough love. Sometimes you need a push. It's just like It's just like, let's say you got a child, right? Or a 22-year-old son, right? Who is still living in your house, playing video games all day long. Let's just say that you love him. You love him so much, right? But dude's not doing anything with his life and he's mooching off mom and dad. And he's at some point in time, he's got to grow, right? So you love him, but sometimes the best thing that you can do to get him to the next level is say, hey, look, man, you got to get out of my house. So that they can learn to figure it out and pay the bills and to do things on their own. Because if you continue to babysit them, they're going to be just that, babysat. Right?
No, that's absolutely the truth. And and it's hard to do it. But as a parent, you know, when I speak to a lot of young people, and when these young people turn 18 years old, like life is waiting for them with some brass knuckles ready to knock their teeth out. And, you know, life is what you make of it, like you were saying. And so that is true. And that's why, you know, it's so important to know who you have around you. And even, you know, even working together and sharpening each other. But I know we're almost done with our podcast, and I appreciate it so much that you took your time to invest in the Break Thru U podcast. My last question, and man, I got like just notes for days here. When it comes back with Ashley, myself, we have a nonprofit board. With entrepreneurship, when God gives you, the Bible says that when much is given, much is required. And, you know, I tell my son, he came to me last year sometime, and he goes, you know, Dad, in school, in high school, they were talking about privilege. They were talking about privilege, and I've never heard of that before. And they were talking about privilege and what is privilege. And I was like, awesome, because I got a 17-year-old son. We have the opportunity to talk about real estate, and we talk about all different. He's very analytical mind thing, always thinking about, hey, this is what I want to do. Getting ready. He's a junior, getting ready this coming year, ready to go visit some colleges. And I had an opportunity to sit down with him, and I told him, I said, you know, there's nothing wrong with being privileged. You know, when you're privileged economically, I said, for me, what I feel is like when you are blessed and you see someone that is in need and you don't take the time to help that person, that's where it's wrong, in my opinion. And it's like, then you got to look at the person. Do they just want, do they want a hand out, or do they want a hand up? You know, and really assessing that, because like you can help someone and they just want to take versus someone that says, hey, I want a hand up. Like I really need. And so I told my son, I said, you know, it's good to make all the money in the world, but when you can see a need and you can fulfill that need, and it makes you feel good about yourself, and you're not just throwing money at it, but you're investing your time and your finances in it. I said, that's where you need to be. And so with entrepreneurs, you know, I think that sometimes they're so busy that they don't give back, or they're looking for a nonprofit. How important has it been for you, and with your life experiences and where you're at right now, to really give back to the community, to say, hey, I remember where I was, I remember. And so like for me now, it's time to say, hey, I want to do my part to give back, because there's so much need right now out there.
I think it's huge. You know, there's a great book called The Go Giver. If anybody hasn't read that or heard of it, there's a great book called The Go Giver. But I believe that we are vessels, and money flows where money goes, right? So I think of money as a river, right? And once you start hoarding it and you start holding on to it, you create a dam, right? It doesn't flow. It doesn't flow easily. So I believe that it's something that's made to be used as a tool and to flow through you. Sometimes you're holding on to money, but it's not for you, right? It's for that situation where you run into that guy on the side of the road who ran out of gas. It's for him, right? And it's, are you going to be a good steward of the things that God has given you? Because when you run into that opportunity where somebody's putting groceries back at the cash register, right, because they can't afford it, and you're standing right behind them, right? That is for you to take care of, right? You were there. It's a test again, right? Are you going to be used as that vessel? When you pass somebody who literally just broke down and you got time, right? You got some time on you and literally there's no, he ran out of gas. Are you going to fill his tank up? I'm not saying $20. I'm saying fill his tank up, right? It was just like $80. It was like $80 these days, right? And yeah, there comes a certain point where maybe somebody doesn't do the right thing. Somebody asks you for $5, you give them $5 and he goes buys a beer with it or something like that, right? That's not for you to know. It doesn't matter what they do. It matters your heart, what you did, right? Right? Because look, God will handle that, but God will handle you too. So they say, look, if somebody comes to you without a shirt, give them your shirt, right? If somebody asks me for something that they need and I can provide it for them, I'm gonna do it, right? That's just what it is. Sometimes God will test me. Like I'll go through the drive-thru of Starbucks, right? And like you get that instant in your heart, give them $100, and it's like, oh, right? You don't want to be trapped by that. Oh man, like you just got this feeling to give the drive-thru guy $100, right? Some random guy that you don't know, and that's a test, right? Because if you got that feeling inside of you, go do it. Don't be trapped by giving away $100, because if that's what it is, you're not going to have more. If I can't trust you with a little, I can't trust you with a lot. Do you see what I'm saying? And so money and giving, it's a mentality. It's a mentality. It will flow into your life easily if you believe that it comes easily, right? Right. And that you can give freely. If you can give freely, you can receive freely. One of the, sometimes we like to give too. Here's another thing. Sometimes we like to give, right? And it feels good to give. But on the flip side, sometimes we have a hard time receiving, right? How many times has somebody been like, hey man, I want to give you, and you're like, no, man, don't worry about it. You're good, right? Sometimes it can be hard to be receiving. So that's another thing, is I've learned to receive with gratitude at the same time. Right. So if you can give to people too, which is great, but when somebody tries to give to you or receive it with gratitude. So that way more can flow into your life as well. Because if you don't receive what I'm trying to give you, why would I give you more at the same time? So it works both ways. Give graciously and receive with gratitude when it comes back to you.
Man, this.
When are you working on a book or anything? Have you thought about that? You need to write a book.
It's in my goals.
I wrote that down. I was like, ask him about a book. Let me ask you this: what are maybe the one or two top resources you go to, whether your favorite podcast, favorite book or audio book or YouTube channel that you follow?
Yeah, that one's pretty simple. I definitely believe in filtering things, right? I definitely believe in, you are what you fill yourself with, right? So YouTube University. I love YouTube University. Of course, I have my mentorships as well, right? So most of the time, like I hardly don't even listen to music as much as I did before, because I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always educating myself on certain topics on YouTube. I'm not watching nonsense, guys. And honestly, I have a TV in my house and I hardly even watch it. I would say I'd read a lot more books, but I'm an audio guy. So I've listened to a lot of audio books, but at the same time, you can listen to a lot of books and not do anything. Like you're probably better off just listening to one book and taking action on that, right? But
action on fire.
So YouTube University is what I call it, and podcasts, like constantly educating myself. Once you stop learning, you stop growing, period. You ain't gonna come to your wife, right? Go to your wife and say, hey babe, guess what? I think I know everything that I need to know. And I'm just going to stop educating myself on stuff. Well, then you're going to stop growing, period. Like that's like when you get out of high school. Some people want to get out of high school or college and be like, I'm done. Yeah, you're not going to grow past that point, right? So once you stop learning, you stop growing. Don't tell your wife you're going to stop learning, right? Because then that just means you're going to stop growing, right? So I'm always learning.
I think that's so true. And that's in anything. Like you grow in your relationship with your wife, you grow in relationship with your children, you grow in relationship with your business partners, you grow in this whole life is about a growing. Once you stop learning how to have that relationship with your spouse new every day, date nights, and maybe it's something that is a new destination, because knowledge goes into everything. You want to know how to have a great relationship, you got to dig into books, you got to have mentors, and that's and that's my last question for you, Nick. How important and how do you balance life, family, business, all the things, and making time for it all? Because in my mind, I come to the conclusion it's kind of like you got to be purposeful. Like you have to make you got to be purposeful in saying, nope, this is time set aside for this. And no matter what happens, this is going to get done, and being purposeful. How does that, what does that look like for you?
Well, that can be tough sometimes. That one can be tough, but you got to learn how to balance it. So I'm a Google Calendar type of guy, right? And I've gotten into this because I've had to learn balance. So there's a great book called The 12-Week Work Year, or The 12-Week Year or something like that. Talks about time blocking, and I got into time blocking. So my family knows my schedule, right? And so they know that Monday through Friday, I'm on my grind. And they accept that, and they let me do my thing every single time. But I still have a wife and 3 kids, you know what I mean? And if you're not raising your kids, somebody else will. Right. So let's not do that one. Like that just gives me the cringes, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna be there for my kids. And so I balance my time. Every evening I am home to put them in bed. Every single evening I'm home at 7 o'clock to put them in bed. I start my days early. I do my stuff early, like gym, all that stuff before the world wakes up, before 9 a.m. Before my phone starts ringing. I knock out my personal stuff between 6 and 9. Then I'm grinding between 9 and pretty much 7 p.m. 6:30, 7 p.m. I eat dinner with my family every single night. I put my kids in the bath. I put them to bed, all that stuff. And then I'm usually back on it after my family goes to sleep for a little bit, right? So they go to sleep, and I'm usually up till like anywhere from 12 to 2 a.m. 12 to 2 a.m. And that's my Monday through Friday grind. Sundays, I belong to the family. They know that. Like, I don't make plans for the weekends. I really don't, because that's their time for sure. I get a couple hours every day with them during the week, but on the weekends, I don't make plans. My wife makes plans. Like, I literally don't make plans on the weekends, especially Sundays. That's church and family day. Saturday, if I got to knock out anything, I do it before 12 p.m. Right? Nothing really happens too early in the morning, right? Like if you're going to go out on Saturday, it's usually in the afternoon. So normally, unless we're doing a road trip or something, I knock it out before 12 p.m. After 12 p.m. until the time the kids go to bed, I'm all theirs.
Wow. Well, I want to say, Nick, on behalf of with us at the Break Thru U podcast, you have definitely broke through the mindset and really have given us some wisdom, some nuggets of wisdom. I mean, I got a long list here. You talked about feeling peace. I've we've felt that before. You know, if you have a deal, the money will come. Talking about that, God's purpose, being in God's purpose and not questioning God's purpose. Also, ego will destroy you. That's something that I took away from that as well. Action on fire, knowledge on ice. Know their why is something that really spoke to me as well. Knowing their why, not about you. It's not about you. It's about them. Knowing their why. Don't be scared to make the offer. Like, what else? What are they going to say? No.
Kentucky Fried Chicken approach.
Kentucky Fried Chicken approach. Yeah.
Expect the no. Expect to know. That way you don't let yourself down. Just expect to know. So when you get to the yes, you're like having a party. Like, oh yeah, what's up?
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, breaking the chain. I mean, the list goes on and on. All the information, the books, the 2 books that you just recommended.
Full surrender. Full surrender, not just in your head.
Full surrender.
Your whole body, surrender. Full surrender.
Yep. Well,
Love
thank
it.
you so much, Nick, for taking the time to just come on and just talk to us. All this information here is worth so much. And thank you. I've taken notes. I want to make sure that I put this into action on fire to be able to use that. And those that are listening, those that are going to be watching, how does someone get in contact with you? Social media, Facebook, Instagram, website?
Yeah. Yeah, so a couple different ways. There's, I would say the three best ways. You can go to keyhomecapital.com and you can actually book a Zoom call with me if you like, any point in time, just to talk about your goals, what you like to achieve. So you could schedule a call at keyhomecapital.com, like a 15 to 20 minute Zoom call, just to get to know each other, right? Because we're in the people business, right? And that's what I'm looking at. Like, look, I'm not going to go, I want to build relationships with people, right? So it's like, I want to just get to know you and see how we can help each other, right? So you can go to keyhomecapital.com and book a call with me, or Key Investor on Instagram, and Facebook is my most used platform. So you can just find Nick Ferrantino on Facebook.
Awesome. And I will definitely plug those in. Thank you so much, Nick, for, like I said, again, taking the time just to hang out with us today, gain so much knowledge. Ashley, any remarks as we wrap up?
No, just thank you so much, Nick. It's a pleasure as always speaking with you. Always great for my soul. Anyway, just listening to your knowledge and your story. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Well, I appreciate you.
No, appreciate you a lot, and a lot in common, and great relationship building. I feel like we just cultivating a relationship. And so for any investor, any real estate realtor, I got put on ice for saying realtor. It's realtor out there that's looking to connect. Definitely would love for you to connect with Nick. Keyhomecapital.com. Or Key Investor on Instagram, and then Nick Ferrantino on Facebook. 3 ways to connect with Nick. Definitely will add value to your life. From all of us here at the Break Thru U podcast, we want to say thank you for coming on and for being a part, for listening, for those of you that are going to be watching, and those of you going to be watching on our new YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, hit the notification for other videos that we're going to be having uploaded here shortly. And so thank you so much. We're signing off. Have a wonderful day. We're going to go out and kill it. Make sure that you don't, that your knowledge is not on ice. Make sure you put that knowledge action on fire. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.